this is my second model, which is a nuke. So this is my reference image I was going for to create the missile nuke thing I was looking for. So to add this reference in, I created a flat panel, scaled it up, then right clicked, assign new materials. I did Lambert, then clicked the file icon, and then I assigned the image, which gave me my reference image. So to create this nuke, first I added a spear and selected half of the faces in front view mode. I did this in front view mode as a make sure as it's a better angle to select the faces, because if I did it in perspective mode, I could have selected edges here, and doing it in front view makes it a lot more easier to select faces. So I selected all those faces in face mode and deleted. Then with that cylinder, I then went into vertice mode, and with the vertices here, I stretched them out, giving me this nose shape. And then from there, I deleted the top side, and then selected the edges, and then did extrude, and then pulled it out, and give it, so here, I deleted these faces, the edges, the top, and then did extrude E, and then pulled it inwards, and then did fill hull, giving me the nose of the missile. Next, I selected the edges here around the nose of the missile and did another extrusion and pulled it out with an offset of 0.08 to give it a curve going up. Then I did another extrusion, then going down, so minus 0.063 to create I was trying to go for the shape that was on the reference image. Then here I did another extrusion, in, then up, then in, out, then in. I was doing a lot of extrusions here. And then, the whole thing here was just extrusion, so down, curve, with offsets, then up, then straight, then up again, then down here, up, down. All of this was basically extrusions, simple enough. Then I went down, and then I extruded down, trying to create. So these two rings here was meant to be the silver parts on the missile. And here I'm going for this part on the reference image, so I scaled down, then straight, then up, giving me the basic shape of the missile. Once I had that done, I started beveling stuff to make it smoother. So with one of the rings here, it was this ring, I extruded, did a bevel, and then pulled it out here, giving me that shape. I also did it for here as well. Then I did another here, giving me more of a complex shape. And then next I needed to use the edge loop tool, and I needed to place a lot of edge loops. So to make it unequal, edge loop spacing, I changed the number of edge loops to 18 and placed them here. Once that was done, I went into face mode and picked the faces one gap from each other. So I select all the faces here, then here, then here. Then I did Control E and extruded them inwards. Then after that, I selected all the edges and did Control Bevel to make them give a angle. You can see it was starting to look much better instead of just having it flat down. Once that was done, I was experimenting to create like a thing here, but it didn't work out, so I ended up deleting that and getting rid of it. So next I needed to create like the wings of the missile, so like this part here, this part here, and this part. So to do that, I selected the faces here. I selected the face here and extruded it outwards. And I was just experimenting, so I created an edge loop here, and then I went into vertice modes, and with this vertice here and vertice here, I extruded it outwards a wee bit to create more of like an edge thing. Then with bevel, I selected this edge and then did bevel, which gave me like smooth corners, edges. And then once that was done, I was able to select another like long face inside the thing I was extruding. So I picked this face, and but now with that one done, I needed to do the rest for the other sides. So I did it for each side. Then once it was that done, I selected each face on each thing I did, and extruded it outwards with an offset of 0.03. And then once that was done, I needed to create, as you can see on the reference image, like it goes like an angle, then straight, then down straight. Before I didn't have that, so to do that, I went on to vertex mode and selected the vertices at each corner and moved them to the left, giving me that angle. This is what the missile is looking like right now. Once that was done, I needed to do the same thing for, as you can see in the reference image, there's another like wing here, like right, which is meant to go like here. So to do that, this ring was like in the way, so I had to delete the faces here, which was very like confusing because it was like hard to correct because I didn't want to undo the rings, so I deleted the faces here, which then made a gap into the model here and here. So to fix that, I selected all the edge loops around here, here to here, and did fill hull, which is going to added mesh and fill. Then I did the same here. I selected the edge here, 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 and here, and did fill hull. Allow, yeah, so fill hull, mesh, fill hull. Then it filled that, so allowing the model to look better. And as you can see, there was like a bit of like a mesh glitch, like it looked different. So that was happening because of these two edges. So I deleted that, which fixed the problem. After that, I picked this face and extruded it. I did this on both sides, by the way, because so I did it here and here, and I selected the faces here and extruded them outwards, giving me this shape. Once that was done, I selected the edges and beveled them, giving me more of like a smooth edge. And then this was the problem. I had to like make it like a thin like face to pull out the wings, because if I did this it would be too thick. So the problem here with getting like placing edge loops, because each time I placed an edge loop, I would place an edge loop on the whole model, so it was really difficult. So I placed the edge loop and I deleted all the edge loops that I didn't want the one edge loop to go. It was very confusing, but somehow I ended up doing it. I placed an edge loop here and here, and then like pulled them inwards. As you can see, this took a very long time. Then once that was done, I selected the face here and the face here, and then extruded them outwards, giving me this shape. Then now was that done, next I needed to work on the back of the missile. So to do this, I went onto extrusion mode and extruded upwards, then inwards, giving me like that sort of style. Next I needed to create like another more detail here, so I inserted an edge loop here and here, then I did the same for the other side, and then extruded it upwards. with an offset to make it like thin out at the top. Once that was done, I needed to work on the back of the model, so I needed to do the same thing because with this back wing here on the reference image, this thing was getting in the way, so I needed to delete these faces and did like fill hole again. I did that on the back and front, giving me like this shape. Then with that I was able to select this whole face here and this whole face here. Then I extruded it outwards to here, and then I did extrude E, so that was save, and did extrude E again to pull it out, giving me this type of shape with an offset. Once that was done, I needed to create detail on the wings, so I inserted an edge loop here and here, and with those faces I extruded outwards and beveled them, or no, I did an offset, giving it an angle. Then this was the missile so far. The only thing I needed to do was work on the back of the missile, so I selected all the edges, did extrude E, went down with an offset, then down again, like left, and then down, then inwards into the missile, so that's where like the flames would come out of, like the fuel. And then this was my missile created. Okay, so this is my rocket model and I'm going to be UV texturing it. So first I opened the UV editor and the whole thing was glitched, so to fix this, and if I just did the only way to fix this was to edit, delete, and then go to create, then camera based, which give me this unglitched version of the UV, like a good UV like editor. Because if I did UV, if I went onto the create and did cylinder planar or automatic, it would just completely glitch and it would be impossible to work with. Okay, so once I did that, I selected the edges here, then cut them in the UV editor. Then once I did that, um, once I did that, I deleted. I then went onto vertice mode and then clicked on all the UVs here and brought the UV gel down here, separated from the main UV gel. Once I did that, I went on to face mode and did automatic, which gave me these four faces, which is exactly what I needed. And you can see, looking at the jack marker things, the texture would be perfect, as it's not stretched, not glitched, or anything. So next I selected the edges here and cut them, giving me this whole section. Then I dragged it down to here on the UV gel and did automatic again. It gave me this, so it did, but I didn't want that. Like I tried to do cylindrical instead of automatic to see if it would work, but it didn't. So I went back onto, I just did Alt Z and went back and did automatic, which gave me all these gels, UV gels to organize. So to organize this, I selected all the rings here because then did sack gels because all these rings would be the same texture and it would be, so I like it was okay to have it all in one. Next up was here. I did the same thing. I selected all these and sacked gels because all of these UV gels will be the same texture as well. So I stacked them. Um, Next up I did the wings, the main wings, so I selected all the edges around it and did cut, and then after cutting, I went on to UV gel mode and dragged it down to here. I then went in VS mode, selected the whole thing, and did automatic. With this automatic, it was fine, but there was a bit of red here, which I didn't want because if I kept that, the texture wouldn't show here. So to fix this, I stacked this edge and like scaled it this way because it was like inverted for some reason. And then once I did this, it was fixed. So I then started organizing the shells, the UV shells. I actually had to cut a section off. So I did. Once I did that, I did the other wings. So there's just the second wing. I just kept on cutting each part and doing automatic, then I would organize it by stacking. I basically did this for the whole thing. It was quite, it was like a very annoying process, but it took like so long. So I just kept doing the same thing throughout. I just kept separating, cutting, and then automatic, and then once that was done, I was left with all these UV shells. So and I had to organize them and fit them into one grid, which took a while, but it was just separating the shells by the textures I would be applying. So I did that. This is like me organizing the shells by stacking them. And then once I got all this done, I then put it all into this grid. Then that was me ready to texture the rocket after I got that done. I checked the checker mark and everything was perfect. It was all texturable. It was all I'm able to like texture the whole thing if I bring it into Substance Painter. So that was UV wrapping my rocket. Hello. So next I was texturing my rockets. So when I exported it into Substance Painter, this was my UV map, so it wasn't working properly and everything was overlapping. I honestly do not know how this happened, so I had to go back into Maya and organize all my UV gels again. Well, the ones that were glitching out, because you can see there was like here, and this would like show up in the texture and it would look really bad. So I went into Maya, started reorganizing all the gels, and this is what I came up with at the end. It took forever. And this is all my UV gels here, and this time it was working perfectly. So first I baked the mesh maps like I did with the barrel and the tree, and I placed the Seal Bright Smart Texture into my layers, and I selected it only for my nose, so it would be here only. So I did that. I selected it for the nose, and this is what I got. I had to so this didn't come automatically with the silver ending. I had to mess with like inside the bright edges and like increase like the metallic. I also added like a different texture in here. I added like a chrome that gives like a special like detail to the tip. So that was the front of the nose done. I was just messing with the roughness, changing it from the original smart texture, like making it my own texture in a way. I could have made my own texture, but it wasn't necessary when Adobe Substance 3D Painter already had like the perfect type of metal I needed, and it would have just been a waste of time. So here I was having problems. I was trying to figure out which texture to use. So I I experimented with all the dark ones, and the only one that looked good was the seal gun. So I applied that and applied it to there, and was like just messing with all these settings again, like changing the roughness, just changing everything that came in. Like just like going into the scratches, like changing the way the scratches look, just making it like my own texture. So I did that. Next, I was applied a chrome and started putting like chrome rings around. So here I had chrome rings here, here, and here, which was perfect for what I needed. As in the reference image I was looking at, it was exactly like this. So once that was done, I didn't really mess with the settings because each time I was like messing with it, it would like try to change things. Like the chrome part would just disappear. So I don't know what was up with that. So I just kept it the same. Next, I was having a problems with the mesh. So as you can see here, it was like first when I applied the texture, like a part of it was missing for some reason, and so I just had to try and match it in, but it turned out okay because it actually adds extra detail into the texture, as you think it was just like a part that the manufacturing like messed up on, but it's still like working, so it works. So yeah. So in here I took the, as you can see, there's like scratches here, and so I took them out because they didn't look right. And then I made like the dense black and like increased the depth to make it look more realistic. Next I did the wings. For the wings I was trying to find a shiny material, so I did the cobalt material and just messed with it all again. For this I was using the textures I already created and started like selecting areas I already did. So for the in parts of like the wings, like the metal bit on the sides, I did the aluminum to make it like look like it was made out of metal, and I was messing with it as well, changed the roughness, textures, just made my own texture. This is what it was looking like so far with all the textures applied. So for the like engine part of the nuke missile thing, I did it charcoal because there would be like, I'm guessing there would be charcoal where the engine comes out of, like a bunch of like smoke and just like leftovers. So I added like a charcoal effect, which made it look really cool. I increased the roughness, the height, and just I and then I like made the detail different. I was like messing with the detail and I just added more to it. And then in the reference image it was like a gold line here, so I added a gold part to the nuke. And then that was done, I exported it. I exported it from Substance Painter and added to Maya to get ready to apply the textures in Maya. And that was a texture in my missile.